Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a little bit, but I'm very excited because today's video I'm going to be baking and decorating my graduation cake because I'm having a graduation party tomorrow. So first things first, I went to the store and I got everything that I needed. When am I not here? I can get it. We need 3 cake mixes, 3 boxes. So I have my cake boxes, my fondant, my buttercream, my food coloring, some flour, and then some other stuff here that I had at home that I'm gonna need for the cake. So my plan is to do something like this. I found this picture on Google, and I want to make a paint palette base with a grad cap. So I have these pans for the grad cap, and my grad cap is not gonna be this big. It's gonna be double layered though, and I'm going to cut it to be a little bit smaller because this is too big to lay on the cake. Then I'm gonna use this pan, and this pan is gonna be the base for my paint palette. First order of business, we need to mix our cake mixes. I got 3 boxes, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with 2. Just wanted to be safe. This is the cake mix I am using. Mixing our cake. Oh wait, you should probably preheat the oven. 350. We're gonna need oil, water, and eggs. I think I'm gonna have to get a bigger bowl than this. Okay. Good thing I got another one because this one's just about empty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now the oil. So we need half a cup of oil. So we need 1 cup of oil. Jesus. Woo! Just under. Okay. It's always good to clean or put things away as you're baking. That way, you know, because otherwise it's too much. Okay. Now I know we need water, so 1 cup of water, so we need 2 cups of water. So, cup number 1, cup number 2. Oh boy. And then we're gonna prep our pans. And there's a certain way I like to do it that I've seen on a bunch of like baking shows that I watch. They line it with parchment paper, to prevent sticking. So, and I've done that before and it works really well, so I'm gonna do that. All right, batter is mixed. Now we need to prep our cake pans. So I've got my cake pan here, and then I have my 2 smaller ones. So I also need my parchment paper. So I'm just gonna kind of measure how big I need it. It's probably hard to see, but I can see where I need to cut. Stick my parchment paper, just like that, and add barely any. Okay, pan prepped. Now we gotta do the other ones. So for these, it's a little different. I'm gonna turn it upside down and place it on my cutting board. Place it around and crease it. See where I need to make my cuts. Ham it up, spread it around, add the parchment, we're good, barely any, and spread it around. Okay, this one's prepped also. Now I have 1 more to do. So the oven just went off. Now I'm gonna pour my cake batter into these pans and get them in the oven. This looks really thick. I think it's fine, right? It's a little thick, but I followed the recipe, so hopefully it's fine. Okay, oh boy. Drop, 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 drop. One more, thank you. Okay. These don't even need to be that big. Okay. Flat. Okay. These are good, because I don't think this is gonna fill that. I don't think so. Good thing I got 3 boxes of cake mix because I needed to make the last one. Don't worry, I'm not throwing this out, this batter. Let's get it flat. So this is ready. Now I just have to pour that into another pan and then we can bake. Wow, look at all that extra batter. It's crazy. Don't mind my disgusting oven. Okie dokie. So my cakes are finished baking. They definitely went over. I put a lot of cake mix, but we're using every bit of cake because I am going to be making cake pops as well. My cakes are still warm, so I'm going to kind of prep them how I want them now. That way I can take the extra cake and start making the cake pops. I have the stuff for the cake pops over there. I'm going to be doing those in this video as well, but let's get our cakes and start prepping them. Take the bottom off. See, it's nice and, ooh. See that steam? I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just gonna break up the cake and I'll further mush it later. Okay. So we have our smaller cakes, which is for the grad cap in the cake. This one did something funky. I don't know. See, the parchment paper is my favorite technique. Look at that. Perfection. Okay, now this cake goes for the cake pops. All right, we definitely have to take this off the bottom because it's burnt. So let's go ahead and cut that off. Ew. Here, let's do the top first. Get this out of here. I'm gonna cut off as little as I can. My cake pop stuff, I'm gonna work on this in a second because you're supposed to work on it while it's warm, I guess. So now I'm going to take the cake. I'm gonna take this and set it on top, even around, and then I'm gonna take my knife and start cutting to make the shape. And I'm not gonna cut like this because I don't wanna break the cake. I'm gonna go around and cut it down like this. So now we have this big cake to do. She's clean! Okay, good. All right, let's peel this paper off. Beautiful. Please be careful. Please, 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 please. Okay. Woo! That was stressful actually because it was starting to, I felt it cracking in the middle, so my God. Oh, not too bad. I have my parchment paper I'm gonna use as a stencil. Kind of round just a little bit on the ends. And then do like a major one there and then round that along my lines here. I'm also gonna be covering the cake in fondant. gonna put this in the fridge. Not sure if you can have that. I have gloves for these because I'm not gonna bring out my mixer because I don't feel like dirtying another dish. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Look how much is missing. That's ridiculous. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, let's crush this up, I guess. Ooh, still warm. Okay. I don't think you're supposed to have these parts. I think it's just supposed to be the inside. Okay. And then they want it to be like, what do you call it? Play-Doh. So like when you squeeze it together, to not like crumble apart like it is now. It's crumbling apart because there's nothing to hold it together. Just get a spoon. Yeah, I feel more comfortable with this. Okay, so now I gotta prepare my surface to put my balls on. Into perfect little cake pop balls. So innocent. Boop. Okay, I'm just gonna keep doing this, I guess. So my cakes are cooled, but before I do their crumb coat on that, I'm gonna prep these cake balls. It was able to roll 27, probably an even 28 if I made some of them, you know, a little smaller. They are quite large, but I'm going to prep them. I'm going to melt some chocolate melts. I just got these at Michael's also. I'm already like 2 hours into this and I haven't even started decorating yet. The white chocolate is hot and melted, so I'm just gonna stick that in there and then do this, I guess, right? Oh my god, I've never done this before. This is so exciting. Oh my god. How fun is that? I have 2 sticks left. Jesus, that was scary. I'm gonna put these in my garage fridge and I will be right back. Let the decorating. We are just doing a thin crumb coat. I feel this is definitely thick. All right, so I just crumb coated both cakes and my cake pops are chilling in the fridge in the garage. So I'm gonna kind of clean up my area because it's a little messy. And then I'm gonna let those cakes chill for 20 minutes. And then I think I'm gonna kind of smooth it out a little bit, put it back in the fridge, and then do the fondant. I'm a little nervous about the fondant, but I've been watching a lot of How to Cake It, and I think I'm ready.
So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be switching over to voiceover mode. So please bear with me because I am not great at this. But I really needed to focus during this part and talking would just be distracting. So I started by laying down some flour and kneading it into my frosting because I've seen the How to Cake It lady Yolanda do that, so it seems to work for her. So I gave it a shot and what do you know, it worked for me. Then I just started rolling it out. This one is gonna go over the little cake, as you can see here, because this is gonna be my graduation cap. Now look at that. Oh my god, I was so surprised. That is amazing. I did a really good job. I was so proud of myself because I did this like years ago when I was like, what, 10? because I did fondant for my mom, but it was like half an inch thick. No, I rolled this, laid it over top, cut it nicely. Mwah, beautiful. Now I had these leftover sticks because I was going to do cake pops, which that's a whole other story I'll tell you later. But I used them as supports for my cake because I used a cardboard square cutout that I'm going to cover in fondant, which ended up cracking, but I'll tell you about that in a second. And I wanted it to be supported because the cake is very soft and I didn't want it to fall or crack under pressure. But I'm using water to smooth out the fondant because I heard that works. Not only does water smooth out the fondant, but it also sticks the fondant pieces together. And that was my aunt pointing out that it was cracking. So I had to kind of work with it. I set it aside and started prepping more fondant to cover over the big cake, which is going to be the paint palette. And I just did the same thing. I kneaded the fondant and rolled it out. This one I obviously rolled out bigger because it was going to go over a bigger cake. This was a little bit more scary because transferring it, I did not want to rip the fondant because as you can see, it is beautiful. It is thin. So I just rolled it or laid it over my arm and then gently placed it on top of the cake. And that also worked beautifully. I just smoothed the edges, kind of patted it in. That was why it was super important that I did a crumb coat because that way the fondant had something to stick to. But I'm very happy with the way that this came out because I was smoothing it with my fingers. Then I eventually grabbed, there it is, a pizza cutter. This worked splendidly to cut the fondant off because if I used a knife and it like skipped, it would have ripped the fondant. So with this pizza cutter, I was able to get very nice, precise cuts, and I was really happy with the way that came out. Now I'm opening a fresh pack of paintbrushes. Don't worry, I have not used these on acrylic paint before, and I just mixed some food dye with some water and painted that over the fondant, over the cake to make it look like wood. I'm okay with the way that came out. I mean, it's not amazing. I would have liked it a little bit darker, but I did end up leaving it because I liked the way that it looked. Now I'm just working on the graduation cap. I did have to add some icing on the cap because it was cracking quite a bit. I had to kind of throw it in the fridge right away, but with the icing on it, it kind of gives it a more artsy look. So I was happy that my mom suggested that I add some icing on top of the fondant. Now I'm adding some fondant decorations. This is going to be the tassel on top of the graduation cap. This little circle is to mimic the little hole that's usually in paint palettes that artists put their thumbs through to hold the paint palette as they're painting. Now is the fun part and the scary part. I am sculpting the paintbrush. This was a process because first I had to roll out the fondant and knead it and blah 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 and then add all of the food coloring to it, and this was like so many different things because I had to do one black for the base of the paintbrush, then I had silver fondant that I got at Michael's to be like that I don't know what that thing is called, but the binding part where it binds the bristles and the base of the paintbrush together, and then a whole separate fondant cut together for the bristles part. That was a lot. That was so confusing to say, but I hope you get what I mean. Now I mixed all of my paint colors, which of course is pink, orange, yellow, green, and blue, and purple. The rainbow, which is my favorite color. And then I'm just piping some fun looking paint splotches here, and then I just did some blue splotches, kind of like I put the paintbrush down after just painting some blue. And then I'm just smoothing them out so they look a little bit more neat. And after that, the cake is pretty much complete. I am so incredibly proud of this. It is a work of art and I love it. So long story short with these cake pops, I tried to do the chocolate melting thing and where I dip it in and make it look all cute. Did not work. I still ended up putting them out at my graduation party and they were a huge hit. But here is the gorgeous thing cake you came to see, and I am so incredibly proud of it and I love it. It was perfect personal touch for my graduation party.